Hello, welcome to today's live webinar. This is Mark Soberman with the NetPicks Premier Trader University. Thanks so much for taking your time out today to spend with us. And as you can see on the screen, hopefully you're in the right place. We're going to be talking about trading energy futures. So a lot of times when we do these educational webinars and we talk about the PTU, the university, we talk in fairly broad terms, and we talk about Forex, in futures and stocks and options and all the various opportunities available to us traders and available to us with the Premier Trader University training and systems. So today's kind of unique because we actually get to talk a little bit more specifically about a really unique opportunity that's available to all of you. And a lot of times these markets kind of fly under the radar. As you see, I've got under the screen there. Now, some of you may trade or have traded some of these markets, but we kind of find a lot of times people tend to fixate towards the most popular markets, which many times are going to be what? If you're in futures, everybody thinks about the S&P E-mini. And if you're in Forex, you always think about the euro, US dollar. And I don't know, if you're in stocks, maybe everybody trades Apple. But what's really interesting is a lot of times the better opportunity and the bigger profits are available where the crowd is not. And that's a pretty common theme for us here at NetPicks and at the Premier Trader University. I don't mind being where the crowd is, but it's interesting. A lot of times life can be made easier as a trader not chasing that down. So anyway, we're looking forward to talking to you about this today. I also have with me Troy Noonan. So Troy, maybe say a quick hello to the audience here.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Got some great stuff to show you.
Very good. And we were just talking, Troy, about actually today, I think, was quite a nice day from what you were telling me on the futures, the energy futures.
Yeah, today was a great day to be an energies trader, although we're finding great consistency pretty much on a steady basis. But today definitely was wonderful.
So let's go ahead and get going on this, on the presentation here today. Usual disclaimer, obviously we're talking about futures in particular, and futures uses leverage. And this should always be, of course, risk capital. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. But with profits comes losses, and you need to understand your situation, and you know best what you can afford to put up in this type of trading. So, and that's the same with options or Forex or stocks. It isn't just futures, but we always just want to make sure everybody understands that. What we're going to talk about today specifically are energy futures. We'll talk about and we'll demonstrate the PTU trading strategies on these energy markets, and then we'll show you how you can get started in the Premier Trader University and master the exact same strategies we're showing you today and actually trade these exact markets. History-wise, a lot of you, I think, already know who we are. So we've been around for 17 years. We're in our 17th year. This is Mark Soberman again with NetPicks, top left. Brian is actually on as well today. He's answering your questions, so I should emphasize that. At any point you want to ask questions here, ask. He's working those. There's probably nothing he can't answer. So feel free to ask those questions, and we'll have a little Q&A at the end as well to wrap up anything we didn't cover in the presentation or that Brian wasn't able to answer. The team that works on a PTU that you can see here, and Troy there's got the middle square. So he'll be talking with you as well, along with myself and Brian in the background today. So that's the team that's with you today in this live webinar. I always like to kind of put this up to start these webinars because it's a really good reminder. Success in trading always starts with one market, one contract, one trade. I like people to think big, and I like you to dream big and to understand what's really possible in trading. But the important thing is to realize that it starts with one market and one contract that you can scale. It takes a great system in trading to get that scale, but if you can do it on one market with one contract, you're set, and you really can be set for life. So we try to really make this simple in order to get started. Now, I think what's essential is exact entries, targets, and stops. You all seem to agree, right? That was one of the top things that you said was important. Risk management, very essential, right? You need to have staying power in this business. You need to be able to execute the trades that appear on the chart, because what good is a trading system if you actually can't take the trades and get the profits in your account? Speed of execution is important. Your ability to eliminate mistakes. I think there's some good systems out there that are just too complicated and they end up causing too many errors and mistakes. And none of us has a big enough edge in the markets to also be able to absorb a lot of errors. You have to adhere to the plan. I think if you have confidence in the plan, you'll adhere to the plan. Understanding drawdowns, because I'd love to tell you that every trade is sure to win with the PTU. I can tell you that every trade is sure to have the odds in your favor, but I cannot tell you that every trade is a guaranteed win. It's not. So you have to understand drawdowns. And also really essential is the ability to scale. What happens a lot in Forex in particular is people trade very small accounts. They do pretty well on a percentage basis, and the moment they go for bigger positions, everything falls apart. So that doesn't help you at all, because who cares if you can grow $300 to $450? It means nothing because you can't make a career on $150 in profits. It takes a little patience. That's probably one of the biggest secret ingredients to trading overall. And we focus on all of this in the university, even if you start with a smaller account. There's really, any account side can build to make this a career or a steady part-time income, but it really has to start with a little patience and adherence to the plans. So one of the first energy futures, the one that has the most volume, is crude oil futures. It trades on the NYMEX, which is now part of the CME. It's $10 per tick. It trades in pennies, so 88.95, 88.96. So when it goes from 88.95 to 88.96, and if you bought crude oil futures, you'll make $10. If it goes from 88.96 back down to 88.95 and you're long, you'll lose $10. So that's how that works. The base symbol is CL. If you're familiar with crude oil, you know that. And then you're trading a specific month. Like right now, we may be trading, let's say, March. So H stands for March in futures. So it's CL, H for March, 13 for 2013. And we'll roll to another contract each month at a preset time. And that's a lot of what you learn in the training. When is the time to roll to the next contract? Because you're trading a future, right? Something that's going to happen in the future, pricing that's being assumed in March or April or May, whichever contract we're trading. And you always typically want to be trading the contract with the most volume. There's a few exceptions to that, but it'll be at least the first or second highest volume contract. Now, there are E-minis in crude oil. I absolutely do not suggest you trade them. It is the QM of all the energy futures. That one has the most volume, but it's not a lot of volume. I really would not recommend it. Margin requirements at brokers, it's fairly minimal, about $2,850 intraday. Now, every broker can set these a little differently. This is based upon interactive brokers. You may be at a broker that says, hey, it's only $1,000, and somebody else can set it a little bit higher. There's different overnight margin, but we're only day trading these markets, so I don't need to worry what the overnight maintenance margin is. Only day trading margin matters. Now, I'm going to tell you that you never want to trade a contract based upon the minimal margin requirements that the broker will give you. The same goes in Forex, right? You never want to use all the leverage they'll give you. You're going to be way too over leveraged, and you're going to have too big of a drawdown if you have losses. We would say the minimum is about 5,000 plus. And when I give you these minimums, I'm not saying that's ideal, but it's probably the lowest you should really start with per contract on a market like crude oil. Could you start with 28.50? You could, but if you lose on the first trade, you won't be able to take the next trade, right? You have to have some buffer to have a couple losers in there before you suddenly can't trade anymore, because the worst thing to do is to have two losers and you can't take the next trade, because the next one and the next one, the next one and the next one are probably going to be the ones that all win. So that's the worst thing to do, is to paralyze yourself by not having enough in your account. The average range that it moves from top to bottom in a given day is 230 ticks. So there's $2,300 in movement in a given day. And understand that that's not the entire move on the day. That's made up of up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So as you can imagine, there is lots of profit potential. We typically only are looking for, of that entire range, maybe $200, 20 ticks, 25 ticks. Obviously, we'll catch some trailers, like Troy may show you, where we can go a lot further. But the point being, if we could get 10% of the range in a day, we're doing great, and that's all you need. And that's the range from, like I said, top to bottom. There's all kinds of swings in between that, so plenty of volatility and lots of volume. I mean, 250,000 contracts. I mean, this is millions and tens of millions of dollars being traded each and every day on crude oil. Best times to trade, we feel, are 9 o'clock New York time to 11 o'clock New York time. The exception being Wednesday, which I'll discuss here in a moment, or 8:50 a.m. New York to 11. There's a little bit of back and forth on that. We have one plan approach that starts at 9 and another that starts at 8:50. But in that range is your start time, and really by 11, we're typically not taking any new trades after that. So it's a nice short window of time, and many times we can be done in 5 or 10 minutes. We don't have to trade the entire 2 hours by any means. We have something called power of quitting, which means one win and done and positive result, whether it's in a minute or 2 hours, whatever. The smallest amount of time, the better. Now on Wednesday, unless there's a holiday, there's an inventory report that comes out at 10:30. Our suggestion is to take your trades in front of that report, hold the trade through the report if it's still open, but don't take any trades typically after the report. And a couple years ago, or even a year ago, it used to be unbelievable trading after the inventory report. It was like a cash machine. It's no exaggeration. It was like hard to lose, but it's completely changed. A lot of the volatility has gone away, and it's really turned out to be fairly unreliable many times trading after the inventory report. But if you want to trade after, my only suggestion would be absolutely nothing 5 minutes before, and wait 2 minutes until 10:32, and then you can start to consider trades. But personally, in my plan, I'll just stop. I won't take any new trades after 10:30. I'll finish what I've got on Wednesday, and I'll call it at that. But otherwise, pretty much that 2 hour window overall. Now, natural gas futures, what I like a lot about this market is it's it's like trading crude oil, but almost with like half the risk. Granted, maybe half the target, but it's maybe a better entry for those of you with a little bit smaller accounts and also don't want to have as much risk. Trades on the same exchange. It is also $10 per tick. It goes out to the third decimal. So as you can see, like in thousands instead of hundredths. So 3.355, 56, 57. It's just the way that it trades. Just think of it as another tick, and it works about $10. Well, it works at $10 per tick. The base symbol is NG for natural gas, monthly, just like crude oil. I do not suggest at all the mini contract. The minis would be great if the volumes were a lot higher, but I guess it's a catch-22 because you got people like me saying don't trade them, but you can't really get the kind of technical analysis to work that we're doing if you don't have enough volume, and you just don't in those areas. Margin requirement, about $2,800, very similar to crude oil. At least $3,800 or $4,000 or more, so you can definitely get by with a little smaller. This is minimum, so again, more is better. More is always better, okay? So again, when I give you minimums, I'm just like, gosh, don't go below that, but you'll never be at a disadvantage to put more in. The average dollar range is not quite half, but as you can see, about 60% of what crude oil is, $1,300 from top to bottom. Remember, crude was like about $2,400, $2,500 top to bottom. 130 ticks overall. So again, not quite half, but maybe 40% less. That's where you're going to be helped by, the average loser, which you got to consider when you trade, is not quite half, but it's maybe 40% less. That's going to be a little easier, especially if you're first starting out. Good volume, plenty of liquidity, 135,000 contracts. The little wider trading window, 850 New York to about 12. Rather than cutting it at 11, we kind of found sometimes this market, you can give it a little bit more time to get to your objectives. Most of the time, we're done in an hour or less, but we want to be able to give it the time it needs if the market's very slow or if we don't start with a winning trade right away. Thursday is inventory day on natural gas. You'll want to look at an economic calendar. It can typically be 10:30, but sometimes it's at 11. Be aware if there's ever a Monday holiday, those schedules change. Crude oil will typically be pushed to Thursday, and sometimes natural gas will be on the same day, like at 10:30 for crude and 11 o'clock for natural gas. So it can change. Economic calendars like forexfactory.com will always tell you the exact time. This is the typical Thursday at 10:30, but just be aware. I would approach it really the same way with the news that I'd approach crude oil. Power of quitting one for sure. Unleaded gas. Now, this is when your account starts to get bigger. This is starting to scale up. Let's talk about it a little bit. It's $4.20 per tick, which might seem like, wait a minute, that's less than half of natural gas and crude. And it goes out, as you can see as well, to, really to the fifth digit, or the fourth decimal, I should say. So 3.0210, 11, 12, etc. It's just a tick. I mean, don't get too hung up on the differences in the decimals. It's just how it goes out. It's $4.20 per tick. Base symbol's RB. It also runs in monthly contracts. Do not trade the mini at all. Margin requirement much higher on a minimum, 68.75. You'll see why in a moment. Definitely need at least 10,000 or more to trade this one safely. Here's part of the reason. The dollar range is 1,142 ticks, top to bottom, on average in a given day. That's over $4,800 top to bottom, just based upon 420 per tick, right? So as you can imagine, there is a lot of volatility on this one. I do need to tell you, you will have more slippage when you trade this market. In crude and natural gas, 0 to 1 tick slip is typically enough to execute on virtually every trade. In this market, I'm going to tell you 1 to 5 ticks probably is what you got to allow for slippage. But it's okay because don't forget it's only 420 per tick. So if you go ahead and say 2 ticks, it's very similar to 1 tick on crude or natural gas. It's even still less. 3 ticks is closer. So it's not that much different, but you have to allow more range because the bid-ask spread is not going to be as tight as you'll find it on crude and natural gas. 52,000 contracts, still plenty of volume, not as active as natural gas and certainly not as active as crude oil, but absolutely executable if you focus on the prime times. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock typically are best times, and also power of quoting 1. Heating oil, all right, so this one very similar to unleaded gas. Trades on the same exchange, same tick value, same basic format, not exactly same exact prices, but surprisingly fairly close, even in today's market. Base symbol HO, don't trade the mini. Trades March 2013 would be like HOH13. If you go to June, July, etc., you'll have different months, so a different letter. $6,100 intraday, so a little less than RB, than unleaded gas. But still, got to have that $10,000 account size because big range again, 1,245 ticks, recently, $5,200 top to bottom in range. And that's not all the swings that happen in between. 50,000 contracts, so still pretty good overall, pretty similar to unleaded gas in that area. Best times, kind of like natural gas. This one we expand the window a little bit versus unleaded gas. Kind of found that 850 to 12 is a good window overall. Power of quitting 1. On this one. So those are your 4 main markets. Natural gas would be, best for the smallest account, then crude oil, and then you can move into heating oil and unleaded gas. Also in heating oil, you got to allow slippage, 1 to 5 ticks for sure. Otherwise, you're not going to get executions and you're going to miss some winning trades, which that's about the last thing you want to have happen. A rule that I say for any of these markets, any Forex, any futures, again, this goes back to my first slide, which was trying to really get you to focus in on one market, one contract. Understand that if you can get that nailed on crude oil or natural gas or unleaded, this is what you can do once you have the edge, okay? You need to have consistency, controlled drawdowns, a trade plan that gives you all the specifics. You need to follow that trade plan diligently. Don't break from it or you will lose money. Minimize the amount of time in the markets because more time is errors, typically. Eliminating mistakes, not ever going to be a good thing. You need a market that can scale more contracts, more shares, more volume, because the easiest way to double your profits is to trade 1 contract and just start trading 2. And if you want to triple your profits and work not a minute more on a given day, you just trade 3. It's one of the most amazing things ever about trading, but you can't get to the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 on your keyboard until you grow your account first, until you profitably trade first, until you control your drawdown. So if you keep that in mind and that becomes your overriding rule, you're going to do far better than really most everybody else in trading. So this is a report card since our last PTU class. I just pointed out because it's always kind of good to pay attention. You can see heating oil was really quite good, over $9,000 per contract, and then you get an idea of scale. Unleaded gas, really strong, but remember, this comes with larger accounts. Not going to be something everybody's going to jump to, because also you can have a bad week in these markets, and that's why the drawdown is going to be definitely larger than if you traded crude oil, for instance, but still very profitable, or natural gas, still very profitable. These are very high percentage returns if you go back to think about what we said the account side needs to be. And then compounding will start to click in. We've showed you in past webinars, $40 a day on average, you can do amazing. You can build to a $10,000 a month income and a large account trading 10 contracts just making 40 bucks a day on average with all winners and losers and commissions included. So don't think too big initially, because too many people do that. They try to make this get rich quick and they don't make it. If you approach this as a business and a business that you're going to scale, you can do quite well, as you can see. And there's a number of other markets, of course, here that you'll be able to trade with PTU that you may prefer or you may want to add on. So let's go to the charts, and I want to show you some examples here. And let me go ahead. I'm going to bring up crude oil first, and that'll be CL. Okay. So let me actually go back to maybe around the 28th, so we can just sort of quickly walk through a full week. So I want to kind of give you the experience of a week with some winners and some losers, so you kind of understand that. And this is on the PTU strategy. Troy's going to come on and also show you our PTU trend jumper, which is even more active than what we call the PTU2 strategies. But I think it's kind of good to see both, so you can kind of get a good feel. Crude oil, remember I mentioned it's $10 per tick. So back last Monday, we had this buy setup. I want to kind of point you to a few things. Number one, notice you got an exact entry price at 96.67. We're going for target 2. There is some money management and some things. I'm not really showing that on this chart. We're going to kind of keep this simple. My target is 96.93. So right away, one thing that you might see on that is you're going for 96.93 minus 96.67 is 26 cents. How much money is that per winning trade? Well, $260, right? Because it's going to be 0.26 times $10 per is $260. All right, and then I've also, of course, got a risk. I've got a stop loss on this as well. And in this case, I can end up losing on this one, as you can see, from 67 down to 43. I can lose $240 if I lose on this trade. And you can see I get in on this trade right here, and I do end up stopping out. Now, we got in a little bit after the setup because this was the actual start time. And my chart, by the way, is in Central Standard, so my 8 o'clock is Central. That's 9 o'clock New York time. So the first trade on last Monday ends up hitting a stop. We come back, though, with a short trade that ends up clearly, as you can see, hitting target. Once again, everything was done for us on the chart. Specific entry, specific target, specific stop. The reason that this happened was we use an indicator down below called trend power, and this trend power turned from green to red, and that was the first indication for a setup. This is a trend change right here. We look to trade those trend changes. We don't immediately mark it in, though, every time this happens. I look for additional confirmation, and we trade charts called range bars, or in this case on TradeStation, a momentum bar, which is the same thing as a range bar. This unique way of looking at the market sets us apart from people who are trying to trade and failing on time intervals. It's a much better price-based move and much smarter for this type of day trading that we have. So we have this winner, we have this loser, we're up a little bit on the day, and we call it on that session. And it only took about an hour, even though we had the 2 trades overall. So when we go forward to Tuesday, much easier, right? Tuesday, we had a trade that we call a get in sync at 9:03 New York time, and we were finished with that trade at 9:19. So it took us 16 minutes to get in and out and finished on that. Once again, all the structure in the world that you need, as you can see when I highlight, entry, target. You'll never have to worry about, wait a minute, what do I do once I'm in this trade? And again, the setup happened because we had a trend change from red to green, and we also do a lot coming off of support lines, which is why you have these lines coming through. These are exponential moving averages. So we have tremendous structure. Remember, this is a GPS. This is a roadmap. Don't you love the GPS in your car? I don't know how I'd ever find the corner grocery store without it. This is the same way, because if you were to scroll back a little bit and you didn't know what was going to happen with the trade, and on the right edge here, you saw this, your job is to execute this trade in your account. You know why that's a setup. You know the trend power. It's hard to see it, but it has turned green. You can see it's green over here where my arrow is, and it's going to project out immediately for you a target and a stop. So nothing left to chance that way. So we pick up a winner, and we're done, by the way. Remember, power of quitting. Let's go forward to Wednesday. So Wednesday, we had an initial trade that was set up, and it hit our stop. We came back with a second trade a little bit later, and that trade ended up hitting our target. And this is interesting because this is one I held through that report. Look how crazy this got when the report came out. That's why I told you to stand aside for these 2 minutes. That report came out right here, and 2 minutes, all these bars. And this is the reason I'm saying we don't trade as much after the fact, because it used to be with a reaction, you would go up $1, down $1. Look what happened. It only went up and down 10 cents. So it's just not as volatile anymore, but it worked out nicely for me, right? Because we hung on, we avoided a stop out, right? My stop was in a perfect place, and we ended up going just far enough, I mean, talk about a perfect trade, to get full target. So we ended with a 1-and-1 on that day. Thursday, piece of cake, right? In at 8:03, well, really 9:03, done at 9:09. 6 minutes, really no stress. And then following on a Friday, just again to give you the structure of a week, in at 9:10, out at 9:12, 2 minutes, right? The trade set up at 9:10, we were in and out in about 2 to 3 minutes, and we're done on the day. Even though there's more trades potentially, I don't have to worry about this one, whether it won or lost, who cares? Because we're power of quitting. So crude oil, that's how it would feel on crude. Natural gas, going to be very similar. Here's the first. I show this one because, again, I'm not about trying to show you just success and just winning trades. You can have situations where you lose once, you lose twice, and then you come back with a winner. On a day like this, you've got a winner and 2 losses. But then you come back with the fourth and final trade, and we end up with 2 winners and 2 losses. We're actually slightly ahead after starting with 2 losses. So we can dig out. We had to work harder on this day, but you notice how the structure is exactly the same. Just to point out a little difference in the trade, the entry price on this trade was 3.349. The target was 2.7, so I went 22 ticks on this one, $220 overall on this trade. And then on the risk side on this one, initially, my risk was 21 cents, so $210. Works exactly the same way. Again, we're looking to be in and out as quickly as we can. On this one, I'm in at 9:33, and I'm out at 9:45, right? So a lot easier day than the day before, right? Friday, and this was actually Monday. So 12 minutes or whatever it was versus obviously a stretch of time. But again, we're expecting the odds to be in our favor. I'm expecting more days than not to look just like this. And then I am expecting some days where I got to fight, where I got to work for the profit overall. Going over to unleaded gas. So let's just go to that really quick here. Give you an idea of how a trade there might look. So here's a trade on the 4th as well. So, this would have been Monday. So we have a setup, very specific. Again, it happened because we had a crossover of our trend power. The trend turned green. We didn't immediately mark it in. We waited for a move above the support areas, or in this case, the resistance, and then we needed the market to rally a certain amount before we confirmed. But once you know that and you learn the strategy, you'll know that that's the exact entry. And in this case, 3.0254, and I'm going to a target of 3.0341. So what is that trade worth? It's 87 ticks. If you remember, it was $4.20. So it's $365 per contract, by the way, on this profitable move. And it didn't immediately just rocket ship to target. I mean, this is reality trading. We actually at one point came close to a stop and even a potential short, right? Because you can see down below what happened with the trend. But it held on. We had the roadmap, the GPS. We followed the instructions. We didn't panic the moment it went against us, and we were able to get the rally to target. It took a little while, right? This took a little bit over an hour, about an hour and 15 minutes to get there. But I had my limit in. I had my stop in. At that point, I just let the market do what it's going to do. That's one of our mantras. Last example, and I'll hand it off to Troy. Heating oil, same way. Looks a lot very similar, right? Going from a loss here, reversing a little bit later. We're not really reversing, but going to a profit here. Same situation. Right? I make a little bit more on my win than the loss. So even on a one-on-one day, I'm in pretty good shape overall. And that's really the way that it's going to work, regardless of, the sessions. Now, here's the next day on the 5th, a couple days ago, we're in at 8:54 and we're out at 9:22, 26, 27 minutes. A little bit more straightforward, but not an immediate rocket ship, right? But you had the structure. So the point being, when you enter this trade over here on the right and you went live, you don't know what's going to happen necessarily at that point, how fast it's going to take, but you have everything you need, target and stop. So when this market's going up and down, a lot of traders have no plan. They start to freak out. They start to panic. They start to see right here. They go, "Oh, I'm up a little bit. I'm gonna get out. I mean, thank God, I'm finally profitable." It's the worst thing you can do, because how much are you going to take on the drawdown when you lose? Probably a lot more than that. In this case, I can give it what it needs to go to full target. So Troy, let me hand it off to you, and you can give them an example of what a trend jumper looks like on the energy futures.
Yeah, sure. Great. Really great examples. I'm going to just show you what we did in the live trade room today. That's usually how I like to show the trend jumper, just to keep it really fresh, really current. This is what we did. And in so doing, I'll also illustrate how the setups work and how the strategy works. One thing I want you to notice is with what Mark was showing you, what you're going to see, of course, and you'll see this with Trend Jumper 2, is structure on your chart. Like Mark needs a roadmap to find his way to the corner store, and and while that's kind of a funny pun, when it comes to trading, you'd be amazed how many people just, I wish they would just think like that, because they forget that trading is, you're navigating through a pathway into the future that's really unknown. It hasn't happened yet. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't have control over it. You wouldn't get in your car and drive with blinders on your eyes. You got to see where you're going, right? So we're really big on trade plans and structure, knowing exactly where we're going to get in, exactly where we're going to get out. Everything is laid out for us before we take any trade. Okay, and that also includes our risk, our reward, our money management, A through Z, what you need to succeed. And then it's all about letting the odds work in your favor and being, going about your business. So with that in mind, let's take a look at unleaded gas. Today was just an awesome day. These markets typically do very well on an ongoing basis, day in and day out. Some days we're going to have some losses. We're going to have to trade through a few losses to get to our winners, but the edge is on our side. And as a business, when you're thinking like a business, these markets you make money on as a trader. You just have to, again, have that roadmap. So with Trend Jumper, everything's really simple, okay? See this green dotted line here? That's called the jump line. So when you get a trade set up, as illustrated right here, for example, if it's below the jump line, then you know you're going short. Right away, you're going short, end of story, okay? The little plus sign, that's your entry price. So you wait for the bar to close. We're going to break out. The price has got to travel a little bit further, hits the entry, okay? We also know where our targets are. The fat dot, that's where we want to exit half our position. Or if you're just trading one contract, and that's how you should trade if you're just starting out, you're finished with your trade right there, okay? And of course, the stop is right above. And all you got to do is click on the bar, and you see the whole setup right in the data window. The numbers are lined up in the order of the dot, so it's really easy. You know where your stop, entry, going to the middle target. We do things with the other targets. For example, the first target, that's a place where we're going to manage our trade and look to either cut our risk or eliminate risk, okay? So on the other hand, looking at the green jump line, if you have a trade that sets up above, like this one, well, that's always going to be a long trade. So you instantly know if you're at the right edge of the chart, the bar, it sets up. We teach you how to preempt and see when the setups are coming. You learn the strategies ahead of time. You know what's coming. You can be ready for it. But you always know, it's long or it's short. And that's a big deal. People take that for granted after a while. But if you're just starting out, you're just kind of, gee, should I go long? Should I trade the pullback and try to grab a long trade, or short? You don't know what to do. Well, this removes those blindfolds. So it's a pretty big deal, as simple as it sounds. Okay, so the other thing about Trend Jumper, especially when you're using range bars, but some of our other trading as well, is that all the trades are designed to give you a really great risk-reward ratio. And to show you what I mean, I'm going to put this first line here at our stop, the second line here at our entry. And so this is how much we're risking. So if it triggers in, comes up and stops out, that's what you're risking. If you're just trading to the fixed target down here, this is how much your reward is versus this much risk. And with these momentum bars, with unleaded, with heating oil, these are the setups. I mean, they're really great. And we see, you know, this type of thing on some of the other time frames too. When you're dealing with smaller charts, and we'll take a look at crude oil, you know, the smaller scalp trades, which you're going to get sometimes, you don't quite get such as good of a risk reward, because remember, there's a little bit, a few ticks on the entry and the exit that we have to add, but it's still quite good. Okay, so today anyway, starting at 9 o'clock, just to walk through what happened, this was the first trade of the day. Even though this one was a winner, even though these were winners, these are not trades we're interested in. This all happened prior to our start time. Okay, just wanted to show you on a clean chart what the setups look like. All the setups look the same. They're color coded because there's different criteria, different setups that we use, but they all behave the same, every one of them. The other thing that's cool about Trend Jumper is, and this is something we talk a lot about in training, is that it will allow you to actually scale in more positions as the price moves in the direction of your trade. And this is very powerful, especially when you learn the techniques, you know, because some of these, you know, you learn which ones are the best ones. And so we could see that occurring on this particular trade here. But, you know, if this is advanced, you grow your account, you master the strategy, you can start using these setups. But our basic trade plans are just going with the standard setup. And so, again, this one triggers in, it comes down, hits the full target. Notice that when it got to the first target, this stop moved down and eliminated the risk off the trade. It literally eliminated the risk, and now all of a sudden, you're in a risk-free position, win or lose, worst case scenario. It even covers your commission because it locks in a tick, okay? And you don't know what's going to happen next, but you're feeling pretty comfortable at this point, knowing that you have a trade that, you know, you're not sweating anymore. A little patience, that stop's perfectly placed. It continues to lock in even more profit, but then it pushes through, hits the target, and then the second half of the position, the trailer is going to continue trailing based on the tools that are designed and built into the strategy and the calculator, which is doing all the heavy lifting for us. That's what this indicator, the Trend Jumper, PTU Trend Jumper calculator, is doing. It's showing us basically how to manage the trade, and all we have to do is follow the dots more or less and just lean on the strategy, and that takes so much pressure off you as a trader. Again, you're not driving down the road with blinders on. You can actually see where you're going. Okay, and then that's it. Power of quitting one. This one trade without the add-on, with nothing else, in and out, one and done. I mean, that trade picked up 216 ticks. That's $907 for one trade. Okay, and that's it. And this is why we love energy so much. Of course, today was just one of those days where if you had the benefit of hindsight, you would have loved to have kept trading. But, you know, some traders actually want two winners for power of quitting. And when you get better at what you do, and when you learn and you go through the training, you're empowered to make the best decision for you, because every trader is different. Everyone has a different situation. But these strategies are so forgiving and so accommodating that they're really designed to accommodate all kinds of personal situations. For me, I only want to trade for a small period of time each day. That works for me. Other traders, a guy today in the trade room, he trades 2.5 hours straight through on crude oil. That's his trade plan. He's mastered the strategy. He's you know, at that point where he can make that decision for himself. He traded crude oil today. Well, I mean, last I checked with him, he had picked up over $3 in profit. I mean, that's literally over $3,000 just today. That's his trade plan. Our trade plan in crude oil is power of quitting with two winners, not one winner. Okay, some traders will just do one winner. And what happened today was our first trade of the day was a small little scalp. Trend Jumper is going to give you smaller trades sometimes based on market volatility. And it popped up. We made a tiny adjustment around the swing level, so this one trade to the fixed target picked up 10 ticks. Now, if you're just starting out and trading with a single contract, you picked up 10 ticks, it's $100, you're done. If you're in there with two positions, notice the behavior is identical. The stop locked in a tick of profit, took off the risk. This position came off at this level. The second position trailed on up, grabbed quite a bit more, and I forget exactly how much that ended up with, but I think it was something like 30, well, it was 32 cents actually, looking at my spreadsheet. 32 cents, one trade, 320 bucks. And if you're using Power of Quitting 1, that trade literally took you, well, from 9:02, stopped out at 9:16. I mean, 14 minutes. 14 minutes to make 320 bucks, done for the session. If you're going to Power of Quitting 2, you're still trading. You avoid, look how well it avoids trades. It had a long here, but that trade canceled. Well, we didn't want to go long there. Look what happened to the market. There was a short setup. Well, that trade canceled, and that one never triggered in. There was a long setup. That trade canceled. 3 setups that we had the potential to get into a trade, all of them canceled. You know, the decision not to trade is a valid trade decision too. It's quite often the best decision. Knowing what not to trade is probably even more important than knowing what to trade. So those of you trying to get Power of Quitting 2, for example, and those in the trade room, still waiting for a winner, another winner to quit. Well, that came here. This one finally triggered in, and it came down, and look, it missed the full target by 1 tick. Sometimes it's just too darn accurate. You got to give it a little room for error. Some traders traded what we term trading for profit, and they actually took a little bit of their profit here, and then they stopped out. Look at how the stop protected us. Came down, locked in a tick, took the risk off the trade, and that finished the trade, and there are your 2 winners. And you're done. 2 trades, 2 winners, 34 cents if you didn't lock in profit, if you just went pure mechanical and leaned on the dots. What you learn from training is how to actually do better than pure mechanical. You learn how to, you know, the 5% art to trading does make a difference. We teach it, we talk about it, we utilize it. I'm thinking this through live in the trade room. Everyone in the trade room has the benefit of listening to me think out loud as I'm also placing these trades in the trade room. The gentleman who kept trading for 2.5 hours, well, look what he got to take advantage of. Quite a bit more. Even more. I mean, lots of winners here. These are, you know, it's not always this good. Sometimes it's just not. But this is, you know, crude oil, man, when it starts rolling. The thing is, this is advanced. You don't need this. What Mark was saying is, you know, you could work harder if you want and be an Iron Man straight through the session, or you can work smarter and just be patient. Remember, that was one of his keys to succeeding. And just do the Power of Quitting 1. And as your business grows, your account grows, you don't work any harder to grow your business. You just add another contract. And then a little bit down the road, you add a 3rd contract. And you're still putting on the same small percentage based on your capital. And so your risk doesn't really get any larger on a percentage point of view. That's the roadmap to succeeding as a trader. Small risk that you're comfortable with, that makes sense from a money management point of view. Again, stuff we teach. And then real good trade plans like this that put the odds in your favor. Whether it's this, whether it's PTU, you know, the point is the structure, it's knowing what to do in advance, and it's then keeping the risk small, using smart business, best practices, putting the odds in your favor. You could succeed at this business. And we love energy markets to do it with, because you could see, I mean, this is something we've been doing for years, and it just continues to do what it does day in and day out. And Mark, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy. That was really great. I think, too, on heating oil, I think you had a pretty good day as well, if I remember you mentioning it to me. Kind of similar on unleaded gas. I don't think it trended quite
heating
as well.
Oil.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Heating oil was definitely took 2 trades, and it you know, because of that nice risk-reward ratio, you know, you could lose on the 1 trade, win on the 2nd trade, and you're already positive. So heating oil ended up marginally positive. I think it was like 6 ticks today or something like that. But if you looked at what heating oil's done ever since I've been tracking it since early November, your eyes pop out of your head. It's like right. It's my favorite market.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting one. It's nice to trade markets, you know, where we can depend on pretty good volatility, you know, day to day. Like Troy mentioned, you know, there's differences on a trade-to-trade, day-to-day basis. It's never good in trading to get too hyper-focused on one trade, one setup, one day. You want to look at things in 10 trade groupings or 1 week groupings and on up from there. That's the best way overall. But you guys can see, I mean, hopefully you can see from these two demos just the amount of opportunity that there is in just the energy futures. So let's talk a little bit about PTU and the university and the opportunities here. And really what this is all about, and I hope you see that, is having great strategies and education, because it's one thing for us to show you this. We also want to provide you with the systems like the dots on the screen, like Troy mentioned, but also the education so you can trade only the best times a day and know exactly what to do. Have that roadmap every single day that you enter the markets. And a lot of the people that we work with or who join PTU, you're looking at this like an income stream. It's not even, we talk investment, which might be a little longer term, and then an active trader many times actually wants the income as they go. So we break it down into really 3 simple steps. That's how I think, that's how my brain works. So I always like to think of it this way: what's step 1, what's step 2, what's step 3, and this enables us to make it real easy to have you work through it. So step 1, when you enroll in the PTU, you go through our home study, self-paced portion of the training. And some of this, if you're intermediate or higher, you'll already know portions of this and you'll go through it much quicker. If you're a beginner or advanced beginner or maybe a low intermediate, you're going to want to cover most of the details. So the entire coaching team put this together. It's got just tremendous content on all the things we think you need to know. 1, to kind of probably break some bad habits, and 2, to set you up to learn the systems. So when we teach you the systems we showed you today on energy futures, you'll start to execute those properly. Pros and cons of the style of trading, brokers, charting, platforms, technical analysis, risk management, trade psychology, developing the trade plans, all of that is really critical that will have you ready to start the undergraduate. And the undergraduate's a real key portion, because this is where we will give you and teach you and show you the strategies that you'll start to use in your everyday training. And the good thing is the learning curves that we have found since we started the university last year, it's been actually faster than we expected. We actually thought it would take longer for people to master these strategies. And I think because we've made it so clear-cut on the screen, so exact, that people, even when they're still figuring some things out, everything's happening perfectly for them on the screen, that you'll never miss a setup, you'll never miss a target, you'll never miss a stop. So we do the undergraduate over 2 days. We go at a good pace. You can, typically home or office. You don't have to come to us to make it nice and easy. And the goal of the class, the undergraduate, is to teach you to learn and master the strategies. So when you finish the undergraduate, you can start trading the methodologies, the PTU2 that I showed you and the trend jumper that Troy showed you. How to master trade management, teaching you art of trading, which, like Troy mentioned, is a big part of it in order to even enhance the results further. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Choosing the best markets, and you may determine that, I don't want to start with energy futures. I'm more of a Forex guy. That's fine. You can absolutely do this on Forex. Maybe you prefer stock indices. Maybe you want to start with stock and options. Helping you determine where the best place to start for you is also what we do in the training. Of course, risk and trade plan being very important. So you have a map, instructions, recipes to follow. The next thing you do, step 3, like we mentioned, 3 steps, is we get more specific in futures or Forex or stock and options. And this enables us to, at a self-pace, once you're done with the undergraduate, start to really fine-tune your skills. Because all of us, when we trade, we can always tweak, we can always improve, we can always get better. And we focus on advanced techniques, market personality. Futures and Forex, we're going to teach you the same method will work in both, but there are nuances, as you can imagine. Apple Computer is going to be a little different than the Euro US dollar, and it's going to be a little bit different than unleaded gas or heating oil. There's just differences between them. Advanced techniques, all the exact trade plans that you'll need. Like I said, you just need one market, one plan, but you're going to have dozens. And the great thing about that is this is not about just succeeding in a small way. This is about succeeding as your account grows in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. You're going to have the ability to scale. Otherwise, you're going to hit a brick wall in doing this, and that's the last thing you want to have happen. The majors, just some of the markets in futures, S&P, Dow, Russell. Great options as well for those of you outside of the US. There's the DAX futures, the Eurobond, there's Forex. We have really good opportunities in agricultural futures. Just like the energies, a lot of people don't realize how straightforward many times trading wheat and soybeans can be. Forex, you've got the obvious pairs and what we call the undercover pairs. We have swing trading available in Forex and day trading, though we push you towards swing trading because we feel that's the best place to make money and the easiest way to do it. And then, of course, stock and options on the high-flying stocks, leading ETFs, and key growth mid-cap stocks. And a lot of our stock traders actually use options for the leverage and the income. And you get access to all three majors. It's all inclusive. Now, we mentioned training just a moment ago. You can trade basically mechanically what you see on the chart. You can go ahead and trade exactly like that. What you see is what you trade. But if you'll go ahead and implement what we'll teach you in the undergraduate and the major, you can really give yourself a significant bump in your profit without spending a minute more of time, right? Isn't that what you want? You don't want to work harder necessarily. If you can make 32% more with no additional time, sign me up. But that's some of what we teach you. There is an art to trading. It's not always just mechanical. You will do better if you'll put to use what we teach you in the course. The encouraging part is if you were just basically mechanical, you're going to do fine as well. But go ahead and take the education and get your, it's like a great ROI on the time spent for sure in the undergrad and the major. As you can see, the range 32 to 84%. On the boost. We showed you this a little while ago. It's just to reiterate that this is about profit. I mean, I realize that. This is about you growing your account, wherever you start. This is about spending time and making an income, but doing it properly, doing it in the markets that have the best chance of success, doing it in the markets that are going to be the most consistent and that you'll be able to psychologically stay with over time. On the Forex side, even though I know we're talking about energies, we just want to show you lots of great potential in Forex, right? It's not just energy futures by any means, and this has continued right on into 2013. The Forex results keep going up. If energy futures isn't your thing and you want to do other futures markets, there's some really great opportunities, like I mentioned, agricultural, in the stock indices, and then, of course, you can go straight into options or stocks. I've had a lot of great feedback from people. Matt here, we just got this one recently, already gotten far more out of the experience than other products and educations that cost a good bit more. Jeff says, I spent a lot of money on other courses in the past and lost a lot with them. That's a common thing that we hear. However, your systems are working for me. I have a small account, but it's building quite well in the last couple of weeks, thanks to your system. Troy, of course, passed along today, somebody who's doing phenomenally well on crude oils. And good for him. I probably am the kind of person, I follow power of quitting. But if you've got the fortitude to stay with it for those 2 to 3 hours, pretty awesome. Paul, of course, talking about first-class product. Frank, very complete, very helpful. Dimitri, still can't thank you enough for what you've done for me and have meant to me. We love these kind of comments because it means a lot to us. Adnan down at the bottom there, talking about how the PTU is the only system in the world that he's ever come across that he says he can intellectually be comfortable with to trade, which that's really important too, because you have to eventually go live and have the confidence to pull this off, right? Have the confidence to take these trades. Now, the trend jumper that Troy showed you, which is an amazing system and comes with the university, we've also sweetened the pot quite a bit by adding some bonuses that are only available to people inside the university. So I know I have some people on here who have bought the trend jumper standalone who love it, but you want the extras. So the extras come in the university, and you get the advanced trading calculator, which does a lot more of the intelligence with the add-on trades, the stop movement, the scaling, the trailing, which you're going to want as you grow your account. You're going to have additional trade plans. We have automation available now that's only available to university students, so Trade Assist automation. We're going to have stock and options plans for the trend jumper, and we always build really nice in-depth training around anything that we release inside the university, because this is about software and education, a system and training. So we always make sure that's part of it. How about the schedule of classes? So immediately if you enroll today, you would start the prereq. Now, we just completed 2 days in the undergrad, 22nd and 23rd, right? Just about, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We recorded those. So you would actually be able to start, as soon as you're done with the prerequisite, the undergraduate, which is kind of a unique opportunity. We don't usually make this available to people. So you'd be able to go prereq and right into the undergrad because it's very current since we just completed it. And then thereafter, start training live and then start to go through the major programs to really start to fine-tune your results. Then you also get invited to attend on March 5th and 6th the live undergraduate. So we're going to do it live on the 5th and the 6th, comfort of your home or office, so you can really kind of reinforce what you learned here this month in February by attending the live training. So it's a great 30-day plan. If you see, you do the prereqs, you do the undergrad that's recorded, start trading, do the majors, and then let's reiterate it, ask questions, be interactive with us on March 5th and 6th. You're through. You're done. You're through the university. You're live. In the meantime, as soon as you start the undergraduate, you can start to attend our live rooms as well, and I'll talk about that. We're also including, like I mentioned, Trend Jumper without any monthly. Standalone Trend Jumper has monthly costs. Inside the university, we waive the monthly costs. We give you also 2 private one-on-one coaching sessions, $500 value. And I'm going to go into detail on the live in the market training that we do every week. And the best support, bar none, in the business. All of my team trades. They're in the market. They were all formerly customers. You won't get better support from anybody. But right now, we're doing 4 days a week. Like Troy said, just today, we did a live session in the market. We used to do 2 days last year. We doubled it. It's 4 days. We're also doing in European market hours. My coach based out of the UK is doing 2 days a week during European business hours. So if that's better for you, you'll have that going. We record those sessions a lot as well in case you miss it. The same goes for the US sessions. We're also now doing a stock and options twice a week after the live training on the futures and the Forex. So you also have that for stock and options. That's done by Mike Rixey, my specialist in options and stock. And you get invited to all this as soon as you start going through the undergraduate. Do the prereq first, then do the undergraduate, and you can start coming to the training where we're calling it all hard right edge, right? We don't know what's happening next. We're just following our trading systems and profiting by following the PTU2 and the Trend Jumper. Just some of the comments from a recent room. Like Troy mentioned, I'm sure you got some of these today as well. Amazing results, what recession, great tips. A lot of it is education, right? It's not just, oh, there's a trade here, we're buying here. It's also really explaining in depth why we're getting in, some of the nuances, making sure you guys really get the art of trading, a very essential piece. That's the beauty of learning from somebody like NetPicks and PTU. We do it. We do it in the markets. We do it live. It's not just all in recording and us picking best case scenarios. Now, if you're on TradeStation or you would consider TradeStation, they've made available to all of you a really neat offer where they'll reimburse the full tuition fee that you'll pay for the university by rebating back commissions. It's a really neat way to be trading, profiting, and having TradeStation basically pay you back for your investment in the PTU. So I always just like to let people know that this is available to them, or you can get 6 months for free in the platform and some additional commission rebates. It's a really neat opportunity. I realize not everybody's going to go down the TradeStation way. We've got some other things with NinjaTrader and AM Futures and some neat deals there as well. But I always like to kind of bring this up because a lot of people are on this right now and obviously liking the fact that they're getting reimbursed for their trading. So overall, what you get, it's a $17,972 value. You get the PTU systems, all the 2.0, all the Trend Jumper, everything we showed you today, and a whole lot more. The indicators, the trading calculators, the home study course, the 2-day recorded, archived undergraduate training, and the invite to the live. 3 majors, all included, no additional charge, Forex, futures, stock, and options. Trade plans in all the markets that we've talked about, from the energy futures today on up into Forex and all the other futures and stock and options. The coaching sessions, the exclusives, if you're on Trend Jumper, that you only get in the university. You get access to Trade Assist automation on the PTU2 and the Trend Jumper, live in the market trading every week, US and European hours, access for life to the Owners Club, which will be going away this year. We're going to start to have a monthly license for that. But right now for this class, we're including no recurring. You'll be grandfathered in. When we start to charge for it, you won't have to pay for it, and the best support in the business. How much does it cost? $39.97 all-inclusive. You own it for life, or you can do a 4 payment of just $9.99. Hell, Troy showed you one trade today on the RB that made almost $999. If you own any other NetPicks course, any other course of ours, we'll give you a $1,000 discount. You can choose the family discount. That's $29.97. Or just do a 4-pay if it's easier, $749. We just divided it by 4. No interest, no funny games on the financing, just straightforward. If you own Trend Jumper already, I'm going to give you a trade-in of $997 on that, and you can upgrade into the university, have all the Trend Jumper you have now, plus all the new exclusives, plus all the PTU2, and it's just $2,000, all in, all inclusive. All of these are all in, all inclusive, no additional charges for anything from us going forward. 34 seats are now available. We started with 40 last week. We're 34. We sold out the last class. This is the class that we started obviously in March, but you guys, by starting now, get the jump start. In a week or two, everybody's going to have to wait for the live class, which gets people impatient, but that's the way we normally do it. So because we know we're still a few weeks out, we're giving you this neat opportunity. Now, we do have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, so there's no risk on the investment. I do ask you to do 4 things. Review the prereq, attend the live undergraduate class or do the replays, install the indicators, make 25 trades live or demo. If you say, hey, after doing all this, this isn't for me, which is just not possible, fine. You can go ahead and show us that, and we'll take it back and return it. We've been in business 17 years. We stand behind this guarantee. I just ask you to do a few things because there's no way you're going to ever give it back. Because you give it back, it doesn't work any longer. And trust me, you're going to want to trade unleaded gas, crude oil, natural gas, heating oil. You'll never want to give it back. I want to pass along something else for being here live, an additional $500 off. So before you order, put the code in 500 off. It's if you do the pay in full on the $39.97 or the $29.97, you can knock off an additional $500. So that'll bring it down to $34.97 or all the way down to $24.97. All in, all inclusive for everything that you see. And unlike a lot of other schools out there, you guys are familiar with them, where it's you got to buy level 1 and then level 2 and then level 3 and then level 5. And by the time you're done, you're in $25,000 with them. These are final prices for you to get everything that we discussed today. If you're a Trend Jumper, it's the $2,000. That's your all-in best price if you're already on Trend Jumper. If you don't, then $29.97 or $39.97, and take advantage of the discount code, the 500 off. Just need to go to netpicks.com/enroll. You'll immediately set up your account. You'll immediately have access to the prerequisites. You'll be able to start attending, for instance, next week if you'd like, the live signal rooms. You can start, literally Monday. European and US, and also the stock and option sessions. You could really be up and running within a week or so. If you kind of hit the ground running, but you don't have to rush. You can take your time because you're not being charged monthlies or anything like that. So if it takes you a few weeks or a month to feel comfortable, that's perfectly fine as well. So that's how it's done. That's the overall. I do want to, of course, get to more questions, which I'm sure we have. I know that Brian's probably been doing a great job answering a lot of those in the background. Brian, let me hand it over to you just briefly here. Is there anything that a lot of people have been asking that you want to clarify?
Yeah, Mark, one of the common questions is what platforms do we support in PTU? And the answer to that is very simple. Obviously, Mark's been talking to you about TradeStation, so obviously that's one choice. And then NinjaTrader is another choice. And so those are the 2 platforms that we support. Keep in mind, though, you chart on those platforms, you can trade with any broker of your choice. So that is an option for you also. And many of our traders trade exactly that way. And so that's the answer to that. And other than that, Mark, been pretty active in the questions. I think I've responded to pretty much everyone. If there's any open questions at this point that you might have, go ahead and get those into the text, and we'll announce them on the air here. Yeah, definitely. This is a good time to put those in. Anything that you're uncertain on, unsure on, we definitely are here to answer those questions for you. So take advantage of it. Definitely type it in. And we'll be more than happy to answer those. A few questions on I own like Keltner Bells. Do I get the family discount? Absolutely. If you own UST, SST, Keltner Bells, one-day swing trades. If you have any other NetPicks product, we always like to pass along an aggressive family discount. Those of you who are new to this, when you come in on the full pay or even the payment plan, next time on anything else, you'll be able to qualify for the family discounts. I have a couple people, or one person saying the link, can't get the link to work. I'll ask Brian to go ahead and just test it out, and I'll put it here in the chat. It should all work fine, but if there is any issue, let me put it in the chat here, and hopefully it's
all going. So Brian, let me know if there's any issue or if it works for you.
Yeah, it's working fine for me.
Okay, got it now. Yeah, sometimes we have multiple people going at once. Sorry about that. I'm going to say your name wrong, but IR. So it happens sometimes. It just sort of sits there for a moment and the server has to catch up, but should be by now. Does NinjaTrader have an offer similar to TradeStation? So Wayne, what we do with NinjaTrader is we set up a deal with a broker called AMP, AMP Futures, very, very good broker, excellent reputation. And I want to mention that we get no compensation from TradeStation, NinjaTrader, AMP Futures, Interactive Brokers, anybody we mention. We always tell them, look, if you want to come up with a deal, pass it along to our customers. Make it exclusive, make it unique, make it special. Do not, we don't want to be paid, and that's a guarantee. We're not paid by anybody. So what we told AMP and Ninja was this. AMP was like, we're going to go ahead and we can offer wholesale prices direct to your customers. So literally, the round turns are ridiculous. It's a little different per market, but it's averaging about $3.80 round turn. Just think about, as you're trading, instead of paying $5 or $6 or $7 round turn, how quickly you can get back your investment in the system. It's literally, truly a wholesale price that they're offering. They're making basically hardly anything above what the CME is charging them. So you can't beat it. It's a great deal overall, and that works great with NinjaTrader. Plus, between them, there's some waiving of exchange fees. A really nice deal. So if you don't want to go with TradeStation, that's an option. In addition, TradeStation and our rep at TradeStation will do the very best he can for you. He's put together some really cool packages where those exchange fees get packaged. Sometimes they get waived. If you just ask, you say you're from NetPicks, they'll do a lot for you. It's another real benefit, again, because we're telling them, don't give us anything. Maximize what you can give back to our customers. So we get treated very well because, as you can imagine, we send these places a lot of great business. We send them traders that succeed. That's the difference. They know if they can get accounts from us, we're teaching you, we're giving you systems and the education. You're going to be around a year from now. That's how they make their money, is you trading for not a month and wiping out, you trading for a year and 2 years and 5 years and being an active trader, right? They love NetPicks traders because we're active and we're trading for income. So anyway, just to answer on that question. TJ, anything else you wanted to share before we answer any final questions?
No, I think that covers it.
Great. I also wanted to just mention, people ask a lot. I got a question on that. We do roadshow during the year. We roadshowed last year to a number of different cities. We'll have some plans probably to do this year in the U.S. and probably even outside the U.S. We're talking about that as well. So we'll always put that out there and give you guys the opportunity, whether you've registered or not. We always invite you to come and meet some of the team. So just want to show you that. There were some of the places that we did this in this past year. So just kind of making you aware of that. We, of course, also have upcoming educational webinars. So you're welcome to come to any of those, whether you enroll or not. This is a regular series. So if you want to learn more about energy futures and then trading in Europe or small account or scaling or day trading for full-time income, there's lots of great things coming up in the university webinar series. And like I said, you come to any of these for no charge. You can consider it for a while if you're not sure about enrolling yet. Contact us too directly if you want to talk more specifically. I put an email up there and phone numbers, so absolutely contact us if you've got some questions that you want to talk privately about. We're more than happy to have ourselves or the team working on this. Nothing is outsourced at NetPicks and PTU, so you'll always talk to one of us. You'll get to know our voices. I'm very involved in the trading every day. You'll hear from me all the time. So it's not like management just disappears once you sign up. I mean, we're in on it. Troy, you hear from in the live rooms all the time. So none of this gets handed off really to anybody else. I have one more question to put the link back up, so let me do that real quick. And really, I think with that, I think Brian got all the other questions answered. Let me do one other scroll. Somebody was asking why not the mini. Well, the minis, because the volumes on the minis on energy futures are just way too low. There's not good liquidity. They widen the spreads, and they, rather than like on crude where it's 1 penny increments, it's 2.5 cent increments. So as you can imagine, right away you're overpaying for a market that doesn't have nearly enough volume. So in the stock indices like Russell Mini, S&P Mini, Dow Mini, we always tell you trade the mini. Do not trade the full size. It's the exact opposite situation. All the volume is in on the mini. So just to kind of clarify that. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for everybody attending here live. Welcome aboard to those of you who enrolled. We look forward to having you in the class both immediately and starting in March. If you need to contact us, please contact us, and thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you learned some things and we opened your eyes a little bit to some of the opportunities that are available in trading for income with the energy futures. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Troy, and have a great rest of the day or night.